I mean, just talk about an athletic freak.
I mean, those are freakish numbers. Um, I mean, the guy is was just a testing machine.
Yeah, and it's amazing too how if you have a test day like that, you can make yourself a good $10 million right then and there. Welcome back to Two Generations, One Mic. Big episode. We had the NFL Combine last weekend. A lot of big upsets in college basketball, couple NBA things. So should be in for a good week. Good to be with you, Pat.
Hi, bud. It's good to be with you. I am really looking forward to this
For
with
sure.
the college basketball tournaments, conference championships starting this week. It's really starting to heat up for March Madness. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of March Madness, let's see the jersey today.
Okay, here we go. Yours and my favorite college basketball jersey.
Yep.
And we got Eric Montross. So let me tell you a little bit about him. It was one of my favorite NCAA tournaments. So Eric was born in September of 1971 in Indianapolis. Excuse me. Unfortunately, he passed away in December of 23
Mhm.
at the age of 52 of cancer. He played all 4 years of college basketball at North Carolina from 90 to 94 and won the national championship in 1993 with
Yeah.
Dean Smith as the coach. Now, was just a super awesome Final Four and a incredible championship game. He was on the North Carolina team, had like George Lynch and Donald Williams, or I think something like that. But they were kind of you know, um, a big role player team. I mean, they didn't have just massive standout guys versus
Yeah.
who they played in the finals, Michigan. And Michigan still, this was the second year of the Fab Five. You had Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, Jawan Howard, Jimmy King, and Ray Jackson, that were known as the Fab Five. They were sophomores now this particular year.
Hmm.
Um, they also had a guy, I didn't realize this until doing a little bit of research. Their second leading rebounder was a guy named Eric Riley, who was actually drafted. There were only four of the Fab Five that were drafted into the NBA, along with this Eric Riley. But back to Montrose. Oh, so in the game though, this was where it was a great game, back and forth, and at the last, within the last minute, North Carolina scored. Michigan's bringing the ball down, and Chris Webber infamously called timeout, and they did not have a timeout, which that is a technical foul, and that kind of sealed the game for North Carolina. But it was super duper exciting.
Yeah.
Um, Montrose was drafted in '94, ninth overall to the Celtics. Had a nice professional career. Played, um, from '94 to 2002. It goes like this. He played from 94 to 96 for the Celtics, 96, 97 Mavs, 97 Nets, 97 76ers. So he got moved around quite a bit that particular year.
Yeah.
Then landed in Detroit and was at Detroit from 97 to '01. And then '01, '02 finished his career with the Raptors. Couple of just interesting stats about him. In '95, he was the NBA second team all rookie. He made the NBA second team all rookie team.
Hmm.
He was a two-time second team All American when he was at North Carolina. That was in '93 and '94. In '93, he was a first team All ACC, and in '94, he was second team All ACC. So,
Nice.
um, he was just an awesome person and a great solid player. But that North Carolina team was a lot of fun to watch, and that championship game was just epic. So there you go, Eric Montross today.
That's awesome. Love it. Yeah, can't beat the powder blue North Carolina jerseys.
You
They're just
cannot.
so good.
Yep.
Um,
It's funny how we gravitate to powder blue. I don't know why. Houston
just
Oilers,
looks so good. Yeah.
Quebec Nordiques, yeah, just powder blue stuff. I mean, even the Charger San Diego, or well, LA Charger powder blues with the yellow lightning
Mhm.
bolts are super cool. Just love powder blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Getting into the NFL Combine, I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of big stories came out of there from this past week, both good and bad.
Yeah.
So I picked a couple of winners and losers, for lack of a better term, for us to talk about here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So my first big winner was Sonny Styles from Ohio State. He had one of the best testing days we've ever seen. Let me give you his test number comparisons to other NFL players. So he came in at 6'5", that's the same height as Megatron. He ran a 4.46, the same time as Bijan Robinson. He weighs 244, that's only 8 pounds lighter than Derrick Henry. 135-inch broad jump, same as Julio Jones, and a 43.5-inch vertical, only half an inch less than LeBron James. I mean, just talk about an athletic freak.
Totally. Those stats, Ben. And it was funny when you and I were doing our meeting yesterday, and you brought up, where you saw that information,
Mm-hmm.
and I had seen that same page.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I mean, those are freakish numbers. Um, I mean, the guy was just a testing machine.
Yeah. And it's amazing, too, how if you have a test day like that, you can make yourself a good $10 million right then and there. Because he jumped himself up from, I bet before this, his draft stock, he was right around that 15 pick mark. Now,
Yeah.
I'd put him, even though he's an off ball linebacker, a lock for top 10.
Oh, for
Just
sure.
being the freak of nature with
Yeah.
those numbers.
Yeah. I think it is amazing how, the combine can, a lot of players go into it and stay kind of steady.
Mm-hmm.
But, for some players, it can be super huge advantage to participate and you can
Yeah.
just excel. And then for some players also, it can be equally detrimental.
Like, I mean, Carnell Tate, who's in that top tier of wide receivers, it's pretty much him, Jordan Tyson, and Makai Lemon in that tier one. And I'd say if he ran a right around a 4.4, he could have kind of separated himself out from those other two. But unfortunately, he ran a 4.53, which we're talking about one tenth of a second. But that really hurt him. People were really disappointed in that number.
It's so crazy when you're talking about hundredths of a second and people being either excited or disappointed depending on where you're falling by running that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Um, you know Brandon Bean, Buffalo's GM.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So when the wide receivers were running the 40s, he was on the mic with Rich Eisen, and Rich Eisen was talking to him.
Yeah.
And Carnell Tate runs the 40, gets that number, and the Bills obviously have their pick in the late first round. And Brandon Bean goes, "Oh, yep, I wouldn't draft him early.
It's just so
Like,
crazy.
hopefully he'll fall." Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It is funny when you watch the 40. And do you remember on the Hard Knocks, off-season Hard Knocks, when they were following the Giants a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
And Brian Dable was sitting up there with, his scouts and everything like that. And someone started talking to him about how fast he could do it.
Oh, yeah.
And they had this hilarious back and forth. And, a couple guys were like, you could start on the 20 going to the 40 and the person starting at the goal line and they go, he'd still catch you. This is just awesome.
Yeah. And it was so cool they did it that year because that's when Xavier Worthy set the record.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
That was so cool.
My next guy here. So Talon Green is the quarterback from Arkansas. And he's probably going to be a day 3 quarterback. But I mean, just listen to these numbers for a quarterback. 6'6", 227, 43.5-inch vert. That's an all-time quarterback record. 11 feet 2-inch broad jump, all-time quarterback record. And a 4.3740, second best ever for a quarterback. Is
Wow.
that not insane?
That's insane. That's insane. And
I'm
I also saw a test for quarterbacks that I'd never seen before, the speed test, where they just throw it as hard as they can into a pad that's 10 feet in front of them. Did you see
Oh
that
yeah,
test? And
I
they've
I
got a
saw a
radar
video
gun
of
behind
that.
them. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, I'd never seen that test done before.
I think they've been doing it for a few years now because I saw a clip of do you remember Joe Milton from Tennessee?
Yeah. Is he the one that threw it
Got like
63 miles an hour?
yes, yes.
That was
That's
crazy.
yeah. Which and he
Yeah,
got drafted I think 2 years ago, so yeah, it's at
that's
least
right.
that old.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
and then so I'm curious, Taylon Green, obviously amazing numbers, but viewed as a day three quarterback just because he is from a like the actual quarterback position, very raw. So I'm curious what teams like think of those numbers. Because yeah,
right.
we've seen quarterbacks in the past like Anthony Richardson with great athletic numbers, but does
Yeah,
that translate to being an NFL quarterback?
yeah.
You just don't know.
I mean, it's just so hard. I mean,
Hmm.
you think and look back to Tom Brady's infamous combine, of his running the 40, his picture, first of all, the full length, picture of just how,
Hmm.
undeveloped he was physically yet.
Yeah.
And his numbers, and was drafted in what, the sixth round or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and comes out to be, you know, one of the greatest of all time. It's just so hard. I mean, you can only go off of the numbers that are in front of you as a GM and an owner and scouting team and all of that. I mean, you can only look at the numbers that are presented to you and try to make the best choice that you can. But geez, Louise, you just never know. I mean, I always remember listening back when Greeny and Golick were on ESPN radio in the mornings. And
Yeah.
geez, that's going back a lot of years. Um, and Golick would always talk about how you can only put so much stock into this whole thing because they're throwing in t-shirts and shorts. That's what he would always say. You're throwing in t-shirts and shorts with no one rushing you,
Hmm.
no, no craziness around you. Um, Especially from the quarterback standpoint. So hard, so
Yeah.
hard. But when you look at those physical numbers that you're talking about, and then you compare them to like Diego Pavia, and I know I'm kind of jumping out
No,
of
you're
sequence
good.
for you, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, compare just from a physical standpoint, what you would take out of those. I mean, talk about what Pavia is physically, and then what you would do. I mean, there's no question.
Yeah, I mean he's 5'10", 207, so him compared to Taylon Green, that's an 8-inch, 20-pound size difference.
Totally
That's just
crazy.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're obviously going to take him first, just because those are the physical things that you've got to look at in front of you right away.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's not to say that Pavia couldn't, become the next great quarterback, and you quote unquote miss out and by taking Taylor. Who the hell knows?
Yeah. No, that's true.
It's crazy.
5'10" though, that's tough.
That's tough.
And then also really interesting. So Taylon Green's backfield partner, running back Mike Washington Jr., came in at 6'2", 223, a 4.3340. That was first among running backs. 39-inch vert, second among running backs. 10 feet, 8-inch broad jump, second among running backs. So he tested really well for the running backs. I bet he made a couple million testing like that. I mean, that'll jump you up from round 4 or 5 to round 2 or 3 with numbers
Sure.
like that as a running back.
Yeah.
Um, and then Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon, set the record for the fastest 40 time by a tight end with a 4.39.
Yeah. I mean, that is just a massive human being relative to that speed running down that 40 track. I mean, it was wild. I actually have seen the clip of him running it. I mean, he is moving for how big he is.
He he's a big tight end too. It's not like he's one of those Kyle Pitts tight ends where it's more just like a big receiver. Like he's
Right.
built like a tight end. It's
For
amazing.
sure. Yeah, it is amazing. And it was kind of fun when he ran that and everybody was like, "Oh my god." They were just blown away. It was super cool. Um I mean, I think of these guys when they are finished and you do all this and if you if you're watching the show on if you're watching the combine on NFL Network, I mean, it's really kind of cool. And you go back, think about this. Let's just go back however many years they've been putting the combine on TV.
Yeah.
And someone goes, "You know what? Let's put this on TV." And it's a closed stadium. It's always in Indianapolis.
Yep.
And Lucas Oil is closed to the public. So the only people that are in there are teams, agents, and I mean, that's really about it. So, and it's, obviously cavernous. And so, like, the person runs and then, they just jog out then after they hit the 40, and there's no sound whatsoever. I mean, it's just stuff echoing, of calling a player over to do the broad jump or, who's next where. And I mean, there really isn't any, like, energy that comes out of the stadium, like watching a game. Yet, I know that their viewership is huge. I mean, people get into watching that thing. It's wild. And then when you're watching linemen and whatnot run the 40, and they're like 5'5",
Yeah.
5,
I did see
5.5.
there were a couple D linemen yesterday that were in that like 310-pound range, and they kept it under 4.9,
It's so crazy.
which and you could tell they were just trying to move, and
Oh, man.
those are
Man.
big boys.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I will say though, I went back yesterday after looking at a couple of these 40 times, and I just wanted to watch Xavier Worthy's again just to see how fast he was moving on it. And
Yeah.
I forgot when he set the record and it popped up on the screen for it just being basically personnel in that building and only being about a quarter full. It got loud in there when he set
did
the
it?
record. Yeah. It
Really?
was cool.
Oh, that's cool.
And then, so this summer, you and I watched the Netflix SEC show together, and you remember Pavia's roommate, Eli Stowers,
Yep.
tight end from Vandy. He had a 45.5-inch vertical, and just to put it in comparison, that's higher than Zion Williamson.
That is so crazy. I mean, that's just the athleticism that these guys are starting to exhibit. I mean, not starting to, but I mean, the athleticism just keeps growing and growing.
Every year, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if you were to, I would be interested for someone to do a comparison of combine numbers from 20 years ago to today.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. The hard part though that I've been seeing is a lot of these position groups became like if you average out the guys that ran, it's the fastest of all time. Well, the problem is that only the guys that know they're fast are running, because if you're slow, why would you even test and put
Right.
that number out there? So like of the running backs or whatever, only 10 of the 21 invited ran the 40. And that's
Oh,
probably going to
okay.
be the 10 fastest. So
Yeah.
it's just hard when you see that like record stuff, like fastest. There's got to be like an asterisk next to it. If you're
Well,
only gonna have
absolutely.
10 of the 21 running.
No, you're right. And then, and then they all go back and have their pro days
Yeah.
at their schools. And, a lot of times high-ranking quarterbacks, for instance, won't throw at the combine. They'll go, and they'll do interviews and all of that sort of stuff. But they'll save their physical stuff until they're at the pro day at their own school, throwing to their own people, where it's a very controlled environment for them.
Yeah.
So, whatever. I mean, you've got all these guys now to run for the next few months or weeks, I guess, basically, until the draft to go to all these different schools and watch all the various pro days.
So the only quarterback if I remember correctly, I didn't see throw but was there was Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
But I saw a video of Carson Beck throwing, and him being back in Indianapolis, he was getting booed there.
Was he really?
Uh-huh.
I did not see that.
You could hear a slight murmur of a boo in the crowd while he was doing his passing drills
What's that come from?
because they were in Indiana.
Carson Beck, but didn't he play at
Miami, the national championship.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Gosh. Right. Against Indiana. Yeah, I get it.
Isn't that
Jeez
hilarious?
Louise. Okay, you won. You beat him. Why do you need to boo the guy at his damn combine thing?
Yeah. I don't blame him, though. I don't love him either. So then, a couple of the red flag stats I saw here at the combine. So Diego Pavia, obviously that size is very shocking, 5'10", because throughout his college career on Vandy's website, he was always listed at 6 foot. Everyone knew he was shorter than that, though, but was curious to see what his official number came in at. We talked about the Carnell Tate 40 time, and then Ruben Bain Jr. from Miami. So one of the best DNs in this draft class, kind of in that conversation for the number 2 overall pick. So his arms came in at 30 and 7/8 inches. So that is the shortest projected first round defensive end arms in 20 years.
Wow.
No defensive end with under 31-inch arms has had double-digit sacks in 20 years. So with linemen, both offense and defense, you see a lot of debates when it comes to arm length and how important that is.
Yeah.
Like you saw it last year, Will Campbell was the guy that kind of fit this thing, him being on the offensive side of the ball. And he
Right.
did have a very up and down year. If you're a GM and you need an edge guy and you like the traits you see, but this arm length comes out, how much is that coming into effect for you?
Well, geez. What's crazy is here you're talking about 1/8 of an inch to get to the 31-inch level. I mean that is tiny.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know. I mean, I think you'd have to. I'd be curious to see all of his stats related to the various events or whatever, like how he measured in again in the 40 broad jump, high jump, or vert jump, all of that sort of stuff. I mean, I think you got to look at the whole package. I mean, you take the Diego Pavia stuff and you've got the measurements that he is, and those are what they are. Then you watch him perform, and I watched his passing. On the first short out route, he missed, and it really wasn't a great throw. But good for him. He rebounded pretty well and threw a couple of really good outs in the short, medium, and long. And then he hit. I mean, he hit every deep ball. I think of the 3 or 4 deep balls that he threw, one time the receiver had to just kind of hold up for a second. But other than that, they were good. Again, It's shorts and T-shirt, so you're not getting chased around or anything like that. But so anyway, bottom line, getting back to your original question, I'd want to see the whole package before seeing 1/8 of an inch is going to cause me to not draft a guy.
Yeah. When you said shorts and T-shirts, I was listening to First Draft yesterday with Greeny, Field Yates, and Mel Kiper. And Mel Kiper always calls it the Underwear Olympics.
That's so good.
It kept cracking me up, yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, no, I agree. That totally makes sense. And his on-field production, during the season, was awesome this year. His tape looks great. So it is one thing, though. It's hard because last year and in past years we have seen arm length like affect how well a guy does. So
Yeah. Yeah.
you do have to look at the whole thing. Um,
No, and I'm not minimizing the fact. I
mhm,
mean, yes, you obviously longer would be better.
yeah,
But to decide on the overall package of passing on him versus drafting him, I mean, that is one of obviously a number of different factors.
yeah. So a couple of off the field things here. So Caleb Downs, safety from Ohio State. Daniel Jeremiah was on the Ryan Russillo show, and he was texting GMs about interviews, and he said, "Who's the best interview you had?" Caleb Downs. He texts another guy, "Who's the best interview you had, and why?" And the guy said, "Caleb Downs." So smart, so polished, so professional. I can't remember the last time we had an interview this good. And
Wow.
then he texted another guy and said, who was the worst interview you had? And such name. But then the GM said, I don't know if it's because he was that bad or just the fact that he followed up Caleb Downs.
Oh man, that's so brutal.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But I mean, Caleb Downs is apparently impressing everyone at this thing.
Yeah, which is super cool and good for him. And um, I'm sure he'll get some, get beat. He's that's one like what you're talking about, where this uh, this combine did everything for him.
Yeah.
You know, and I look at it like a bell curve. Um, you got your bell curve, and you've got the top 10% on the front end of the bell will significantly improve themselves. 80% won't improve or hurt themselves, and then the bottom 10% will hurt themselves. So,
Yeah.
I kind of look at like that, of the combine overall. This is one guy that is definitely on the front end of the curve and definitely helped himself big time.
Yeah. And I mean, from a talent standpoint, he is up there. It just the only problem for his draft stock is that he is a safety, and you just don't draft a safety with the second overall pick, even
Right.
though he's probably worthy of it. Um,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
want to talk about the bell curve? Here's a guy on the back end. So Makai Lemon, wide receiver from USC, won the Blinkoff Award this year. On-field combine stuff looked great, but I saw a lot of stuff saying he was probably the worst interview at the whole combine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which
Wow.
and I mean he's a projected first rounder. He's like I said, he's in that top tier with Carnell Tate and Jordan Tyson. It's going to be interesting on draft night to see how much this interview affected where he went.
Right. Yes, for sure. And it's too bad that he didn't get some more coaching and advice along those lines.
Well,
To
PR training, yeah.
a little PR training, because all these guys do hire, especially these players that are going to be drafted up higher. Hire teams,
Hmm.
to help them prepare for everything that goes on at the combine. So, you've got a couple specialists in the 40 that help you with, your stance, coming out of the blocks, the proper technique of running, so on and so forth. Training for vert jump, broad jump, you know, lifting weight. They do the, 200, however many times you can rep 225 pounds,
Hmm.
all that stuff. Same with the off-field stuff. I mean, they've got people. I, Now, whether he did or didn't have anybody in his camp for that, but they've got people that do training for that as well, because it's equally important. I mean, you're going to be a team's first round draft pick. That means as soon as you're drafted, you're on a plane heading to that city, and you're immediately in front of a mic the next day, getting unveiled to the team and so on and so forth. You're the first round draft pick. You're going to have a mic in your face through all of the OTAs, through all of training camp, everything like that. And so it's an equally important part.
Yeah, for sure. And then This one doesn't require much debate, but I just thought it was a really cool story. So, Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M, wide receiver. He'll probably be late first, early second rounder. I'd heard his name all year, and but I did not know. So he has a stutter, like speech impediment, and he did the entire media day though, did all his interviews, talked to all the media, and he got through it and did awesome. I just thought that was a really cool story.
I think
And
that's
he
awesome.
talked about it too and stuff. Yeah, it was really cool to see.
That I mean, just kudos to him for, getting up in front of there and talking about it and handling all the interviews and going through it. Because again,
Yeah.
like you said, there are plenty of things that players there don't participate in,
Mm-hmm.
and he very easily could have said, "No, thanks. I'm going to skip this part," because obviously they control their own
Yeah.
things that they do. And instead, he just embraced it and motored right in. And oh man, I hope he just kills it. I hope he has, gets drafted and has a fantastic career, because I think that is awesome.
Yeah, he's someone I'm pulling for big time, especially too. He's projected to go into the first round. He talked about how his family grew up entire Bills fans. So seeing him and Josh Allen, that would be so cool.
Oh, so cool, so cool.
And then last NFL related thing here. Okay, sorry, two more. Yesterday, David Montgomery gets traded to the Houston Texans for a fourth round pick this year, seventh round pick next year, and offensive lineman Juice Scruggs. I like the trade for both sides. Texans need running back help just because uh, the past couple of years it's just been a patchwork running back room. They keep signing aging vets. You had Joe Mixon, you had Nick Chubb, Damian Pierce didn't really pan out. So Woody Marks though this year proved to be good. So if you compare him with David Montgomery, similar to how the Lions used David Montgomery with Jahmyr Gibbs, could be a good pairing. And then for the Lions, you had to do this because you're probably about to make Gibbs the highest paid running back ever. And
Right.
Montgomery, I think, only has a year left on his contract. So you just can't be paying two running backs like that. So,
No, not in today's day and age.
and you got a good return. So it's honestly one of those win-win trades, I think.
Oh, I agree. I agree. They'll have to find a solid backup,
Hmm.
whether they do it through the draft or what. But no, great move. I mean, yeah, they got some good pieces to be able to do some different things with, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then last NFL thing here. So, it was originally reported that the NFL report cards weren't going to be published publicly, but ESPN was able to get them from the NFL Players Association. So, a lot of interesting grades on there. A couple that stuck out to me. So, Cincinnati, D plus from an ownership standpoint, not a shocker. F minus for food, C minus for travel, and F minus for treatment of family. That is so brutal.
Oh, totally. So, just so that everybody knows, they rank. So the players rank six different levels. So coach, owner, food, travel, weight room, and treatment of family. So those are the measurements, and they grade them just like back in school, A through F, and they can give obviously pluses and minuses. So
Yeah.
yeah, Cincy, not great at all.
No.
Obviously, though, the players like the coach, Zach Taylor, which
Yeah. I mean, he's just been on the hot seat now for what feels like 3 years. So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. It's just surprising, but good for him.
And what's kind of neat, you see some of the teams that you wouldn't necessarily expect, like the Jets, who always seem to have issues. They just always seem to have issues. Their report card is actually very strong. A coach, B owner, B food, B plus travel, B plus weight room, and B plus treatment of family. I mean,
Yeah,
for how the Jets have been
for
for the
sure.
last 10 or 20, however many years you want to go back, for
Mm-hmm.
them to have that as the report card is kind of interesting. Um, one thing also I think that's interesting is you take the LA Chargers, who seem to, kind of be on an upward trajectory. Their coach is ranked at a C plus. That's Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, that is funny.
Um,
Um,
yeah,
I think it's
Vikings ranked
interesting.
well. Just want to point that out.
They did do well. Yep. Panthers did good besides travel. There they got a
Yeah,
D. I don't really know what
yeah,
happened there.
yeah.
Um, I do think it's interesting. So the looking at this, the lowest coach is a C minus, and that's Kevin Stefanski from Cleveland.
Yeah, yeah.
Just that's the
And he's
lowest. Can
Yeah, and that's coach, and he was one when he got let go at the very beginning of the off season. I mean, he was ranked as one of the hottest prospects immediately.
yeah,
So
super interesting.
yeah, very
All
good.
right.
That was kind of fun to look at. That's kind of a neat ranking there to see where all these different teams fall. One other thing that I thought was kind of interesting that came out of the combine, and when you're watching some of these shows where they're recapping the combine and all that, what are your top 5 stories that came out of the
Hmm.
combine? It's kind of interesting the ones that come out that aren't necessarily related to participants of the combine. All of the
Oh,
discussion like
yeah.
around Kyler Murray
Yep.
and Daniel Jones, which is something's probably going to go down later today. Whether the Colts are going to franchise tag him, or there's a couple of other tags that they were talking about that they could give to him, but then it relates to how if he's franchise tagged, it's a high number, I believe, for a quarterback. Franchise tag is at 45 million, and then
Hmm.
if another team comes in and signs him as a free agent, they have to give the Colts 2 first-round draft picks.
Yeah.
And so, they were saying no one's going to do that. But there's another tag below a franchise tag. I didn't realize that. And the number would be in the high 30s, if I recall what they said. But then a team that comes in to sign him, the Colts just have to match it. That's all. But the team doesn't have to give up any first-round draft picks. So
Okay.
all that is going to go down. And so some of these dominoes are going to start to fall related to where some of the veteran quarterbacks that are out there, and Minnesota is one of the top, teams in that conversation.
I've seen a lot of names get tied to the Vikings. They had a big segment on it yesterday on Get Up.
Yeah.
I mean, they talked about Kyler, they talked about Daniel Jones, Kirk, Geno Smith if he gets cut by the Raiders.
Yeah. Gino.
It'll be interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. Anyway. Okay. Thank you. There you go.
All right, college basketball here. So, huge weekend for Arizona. It was awesome. First, they beat Kansas by 20 on Saturday, and Darren Peterson did play, which was different from the game before that, so that's really interesting.
Right.
And then Arizona beats Iowa State last night by 20
Ooh.
to
Yeah.
clinch the Big 12 title.
Right.
So that was a great day.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Good weekend, beginning of the week for Arizona for sure.
they're finally healthy now. After the past 4 games, they've been down about 3 guys. So that was huge to fill out the rotation for them. Just dominate inside. When they can dominate inside on both ends, they are just such a tough team to beat because there's not as many teams that are as big as them
Yeah.
from a size standpoint. Couple interesting stats here. So last week, UConn blows out St. John's by about 40. St. John's in the second half, 2 for 28 from the field with 24 straight misses.
That's just wild. That's not a stat line that you want as you're heading into conference championship week.
No, I mean, Could you imagine being Rick Pitino and watching that?
No, no,
That would be painful.
that would be so painful. Yeah, that's just unbelievable. Um, yeah, not good.
Yeah. So Florida's starting to heat up here. They played Arkansas on Saturday. They beat Arkansas by 34, and that tied the career worst loss for Calipari.
Yeah.
The last time he lost by 34 was in 2018 against Duke. So I thought that was an interesting number.
It'll be interesting how long Calipari stays in the coaching world because I picture him a lot like Saban. Um, excuse me, when it comes to all the NIL and how everything has changed. And I know he had a couple interviews at the beginning of the season, where he said, we've got guys that are getting NIL money that are using it to pay alimony and all kinds of different stuff. I mean, he just seems very disillusioned with the current state of college basketball and college athletics. And, it seems like some of the younger coaches are leaning into it, more on the football side a little bit, but, and a lot of the, older guys are just kind of like, I just, it's different than why I got into this profession.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is interesting and it's kind of the same way it's always been for Calipari, where his teams are ranked, they're decent, but they're not winning national championships, and they're just producing NBA players. I mean,
Right.
the rate he produces NBA players, it's actually crazy if you go look at his roster of guys,
Yeah,
especially guards. It's incredible.
it is incredible, especially his run at Kentucky. I mean,
Yeah.
he just was a factory for the NBA at Kentucky.
Purdue had a very rough weekend last Thursday. They lose to Michigan State by 2, and then on Sunday they get upset by Ohio State. So 2 tough Big Ten losses there.
Yeah.
They've had a really interesting season. They've been doing really good at beating up on the teams they're supposed to beat up on, but then once they play a decent ranked team, a conference game, they just look like a shell of themselves out there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to be the Big Ten tournament is going to be really fun.
Yeah, it will be good.
Yeah.
Looking at the West Coast Conference for you here, St. Mary's upset Gonzaga on Saturday,
Yep.
so that's
They've-
interesting.
I mean, those two always, for not just this year, but for years now, have bounced back and forth, beating each other up. I mean, they've been the top two teams in the WCC for a while now. Santa Clara's crept up a little bit. They've had a good couple seasons now where they're right in there, and I believe they are going to be the number 3 seed in the West Coast Conference tournament. So they could make a move in there.
Yeah. It is just always funny though, like growing up for my entire life, when during conference tournament weekend when I'm checking like who's in the championship for the non-Power 5 schools or conferences that I wasn't following, and I'd be checking Summit League, whoever, WCC. It feels like every year it's St. Mary's Gonzaga.
Yeah, always.
Just always cracked me up. Yeah.
No, I know. It's just crazy.
Texas Tech is, even though they lost JT Toppin, their best player, to a torn ACL for the season, they beat Iowa State on Saturday, and their shooting guard, Christian Anderson, has really stepped up. He's shooting the lights out of the ball right now, and Texas Tech is up to 10 in the recent AP ranking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
The NCAA tournament is going to be just
it's
crazy
going to be a crazy year. Yeah.
because, back in the day, as you and I have talked about for years, or for a number of episodes. But again, I'm going to go way back real quick. When you would sit down with the bracket, and you choose, you do brackets and, to see how you're going to do in the tournament and whatever, you would know, a regular fan of basketball,
Mm-hmm.
not, obviously you have the super fans that try to watch every single game and all that and know all the teams and the players and all that. But then, a regular fan like me that would watch basketball whenever I was around at home, but had a number of favorite teams and that sort of thing. Players
Yep.
were there for more than 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't move around amongst teams. You knew who was who. When you sit down with this bracket now, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I know a little bit because of you
Mm-hmm.
in terms of players on teams and who actually is,
Good.
pretty good or not. But Joe Blow, like when you give it to Mom and Maggie to fill out their bracket, they're not going to know anything. They're just going to know the name of the school, and then they'll choose from there.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Mom just had Arizona and Nebraska meeting in the national championship and
Oh, for sure. Totally. But it is different. It is interesting how it's changed over time.
yeah. And then unfortunate news for Michigan, LJ Kaysen, their kind of six-man spark plug off the bench, out for the season with a torn ACL after they beat Illinois on Friday. So that's tough for them because I've watched the last couple of Michigan games here, and even though he's an off-the-bench guy, he is an important part of that roster.
For sure.
So that's tough to see.
And it's
And
it's a lot like it's a lot like Saunders with BYU. I mean, they've
yep.
had a little bit of a tough time without him, and you
Hmm.
hate to see a late season injury of a key person, affect a team that was going to, Michigan, Michigan, I would expect be able to hold it together. BYU is probably facing a little bit more of an uphill battle because of that injury than Michigan.
Yep. Um, and then last little college basketball thing here. So they're right on the bubble for the tournament right now. They're kind of in that first four out category.
Yeah.
Their leading scorer, Chad Baker Mazzara, this is like his seventh year of college basketball. He's 26 years old. Just got announced he's no longer on the team. The listed reason is an accumulation of behavioral and disciplinary issues. So very interesting your season right now is kind of make or break that things have gotten so bad with your best player, you have to cut him.
How about how it went down, like in the middle of a game
Yeah.
where they go into the locker room at halftime that he played in, and then comes out in the second half and sits in the stands, not on the bench?
That's insane.
That's crazy.
It's like Antonio Brown when he quit on the Buccaneers in the middle of a game.
Oh God, that's right. I forgot about that. That's
And he
awesome.
took his shirt off. Yeah.
Yes.
I Yeah, it's super interesting. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall for that conversation at halftime.
Yeah. Whatever went down there. Yeah, that's just nuts.
Looking over at the NBA now, the Spurs were on an 11-game win streak, and that got snapped by the Knicks here at Madison Square Garden. And then two bigger stories. So the Suns owner, Matt Ishbia, who has been a little controversial when he's come in the league. I thought this was really cool. He announced that since the All-Star weekend is in Phoenix next year, he's offering a $1 million prize out of his own pocket to both the three-point and dunk contest winners. I thought that's really cool because we talked a couple weeks ago about how fun the three-point contest was, how the dunk contest struggled a little bit. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think I agree with you. It's super cool. I think you got to do. I don't know how you do it. Well, this is one of the ways to get the big names back into doing both contests. Um, you know, all of the All-Star Game related stuff is for the fans. I mean, that it's a recognition to the players, but
Yeah.
the event itself is for the fans. And the fans want to see the players they know. It's along the same lines of what you talked about, where you've got Kevin Durant and LeBron James. You know, is the fact that they're playing and an up and coming player that doesn't quite have the home, in home name that those two carry, but is playing probably a little bit better, not able to
Yeah.
be in the All-Star game. The fans want to see the names that they know, and and they're not you. I'm talking about you specifically, Ben. Know all of these lesser known names in the NBA that are playing out of their mind and playing really well, and by number wise should be recognized from an All-Star standpoint. But that you are not necessarily who the All-Star game is marketed to. You're trying to get the All-Star game into however many million homes you can, and that's just anyone that kind of knows about the NBA. And so
Yep.
you got to get the big names back into those competitions. That's the way you got to do it. And it used to be that way. I mean, back in the 80s, the big names did participate in that. It was, as we've talked about, and you got to get back to that.
No, I get that 100%. And hopefully it does work, especially for the dunk contest, because we talked about how the 3-point contest, it'll be good for next year, since we already have Dame, Steph, Clay, and Book essentially locked in on it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And then last week, Con Knuppel broke the rookie 3-point record, making his 207th three. So the record before at 206 was Keegan Murray. It took him 80 games to get that. Con, it only took 59 games to break. He might set
Wow.
the record close to 300 this season.
Wow.
The Hornets have been on fire since 2026 started. I
Right.
sent you a graphic the other day, and the 3 people leading the league in 3 since 2026 started are Brandon Miller, Con Knuppel, and LaMelo Ball, who all happen to play for the same team, which is wild.
That's unbelievable that can happen.
Yeah. I mean, they are just lighting it up.
Oh, totally. And so what, you said he's going to be probably close to 300 by the end of the season. What is the record for the number of threes in a season? Do you know?
Steph had,
It's 300 and some,
I think
right?
Steph might have hit 4.
400?
Yeah. Hang on here.
Do you realize how crazy that is?
Insane.
Oh, gosh.
402.
402. 402 three-pointers in a season.
Yep,
Come
it
on.
was the year they went 73-9.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
that's a big reason why.
Yes, that'll do it. That'll do it.
And then let's take a look at golf here. So
Oh,
the past
yes.
weekend we had the how do you pronounce that? The tournament
It
name?
was the Cognizant
Cognizant
Classic.
Cards, yes.
So this used to be the Honda Classic, and it was in Palm Beach, Florida. The New Palms. I forget the name of the course. It's under a different name, and the championship course. The course is famous for numbers 15, 16, and 17, and they call it the Bear Trap. Obviously, being in Florida, a lot of water. It's
Yep.
not on the ocean. It's inland a little bit, but a lot of water around the course in general. But 15 is a par 3, 16 is a par 4, and 17 is a par 3. And again, known as the Bear Trap. This tournament is kind of focused around Jack Nicklaus, kind of down near his home, and has always kind of been a big part of this tournament. Well, Shane Lowry, coming down the stretch, Shane Lowry went into the final round leading, playing along. By the time he hits hole 15, he's got a 3-shot lead. He's at 19 under, and the next closest is at 16 under, Echevarria. And there might have been one other person at 16 under, I forget. But Lowry steps up on the first tee of 16 and like I said, it's a par 4, but he's going to hit an iron and try to play it safe just out there because there's water all along the right, and it's a dogleg right. And he slices the heck out of the ball, and it goes right out into the water and didn't cross much land before it was over water, so he didn't get a whole lot of room to move up. Ended up double bogeying the hole. Fast forward to the group ahead of him. He's in the last group. Fast forward to the group ahead of him. Echevarria is on 17.
Yeah.
Now, basically, one stroke down because Shane would ultimately double bogey the hole. Echevarria hits a tee shot on 17 and takes it out over the water. Most people had just been playing it safe out into the middle of the green because the pin was deep and right, kind of towards the water's edge of the green. Yeah. And he flies it just onto the green, puts it, let's just say 10 feet from the hole, rolls that putt in while Lowry is actually sitting on the tee box now of 17 and watches him roll it in and tie him at 17 under. Lowry steps up on the tee on 17, right into the drink. Double bogeys that hole. Echevarria goes on and pars 18, wins by, I think he won by a shot or two. And it was very sad to see Lowry collapse like that. It was too bad because that's his home. He lives down there.
Oh,
and
okay.
He said his 4-year-old daughter was there, and that's the only reason he wanted to win. He's never won in front of her, and he had visions of her running across the green with him winning. And
that's
that
so brutal. I did not know that. Yeah.
So brutal. So now they're on to a signature event, Bay Hill, Arnold Palmer's home in Orlando. And then the week after that is the Players' Championship at TPC Sawgrass, which both of them will be very exciting tournaments. So we'll recap those as well.
For sure. And then last little bit of sports here. So Tyler Reddick, who won the Daytona 500 that we talked about. So this past weekend, he won his third straight race of the 3 races they've done this season. He is the first Cup Series driver to ever do that. That's crazy.
It's insane.
How he's just kind of come on out of nowhere here.
Yeah. Won Daytona 500. They move on to Atlanta. He wins in Atlanta. Move on to, and this was a road course, which, not obviously not oval, where you're just turning left. This was a road course that's down in, I believe, Austin, Texas, isn't it? It's where the F1 race is in Austin.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And won that one 3 in a row to start the season. Unbelievable.
That's crazy. Good for him.
Yeah.
Doing it in Michael Jordan's
as we mentioned before, Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin's team.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not realize this until I was reading, some of the recap stuff. So Denny Hamlin is part owner of this team with Jordan, but drives for another team.
Denny Hamlin still drives?
Yeah.
I did not know this.
Yeah, and drives for a different team.
So that'd be like if Brady still owned, obviously he can't do this, but if Brady still owned part of the Raiders, but someone else, some other team had
for the
to
Buccaneers.
call him. Yeah.
Still. Yeah. I know.
That's so weird.
It is weird. Totally.
All right. And then ending it with this or that. So our question here, if you could go attend any conference tournament, which one would you go choose?
Men's basketball tournament?
Yep. Conference men's basketball tournament.
Well, I got to say, speaking for this year right now, I would probably say, and we're talking, everything around it, like competitiveness of games, atmosphere, everything like that. So, you and I have gone to the Summit League tournament in Sioux Falls for the championship game when like SDSU is playing. and it's in Sioux Falls, and so a lot of the fans are heavy SDSU or USD if USD is playing, which is always kind of fun and energetic.
Yeah.
I think the Big Ten tournament this year is probably what I would choose. I think that would be very exciting.
Yep.
Out of my heart for Santa Clara, the West Coast Conference tournament too, and also being in Vegas would be kind of fun. And I went to the West Coast Conference tournament my sophomore year when Nash was a freshman, and it was up in San Francisco, and we upset Pepperdine. At the time was the top team in the West Coast Conference that year.
Oh, fun.
And Santa Clara upset them to get into the tournament.
Yeah.
You might see that jersey here in the next few weeks. But side note, Big Ten.
Nice. This year I'm going to go with the Big 12 just because there's obviously the Arizona bias, but the conference in general this year has been super good. There's going to be a lot of good games in this tournament. I mean, you have Arizona, Houston, Iowa State, Texas Tech, BYU. UCF has had a couple upsets in there. That could be a sleeper team. I mean, it is just a deep conference this year. So
Yeah.
I think it should be a really good tournament. Honorable mention, though, growing up, I mean, I would say you and I watched ACC basketball the most when I was growing up. So I've just always had a soft spot in my heart for watching those Duke and North Carolina games. And
For
NC
sure.
State had a couple good years in there. Yeah, that's my honorable mention, but it can't beat the Big 12 this year.
No, I think you're right, and that's a good call. That's a good call. So you're going Big 12, and I go Big 10. There you go.
Nice. Love it. All right, good episode here this week. I mean, next week we'll be back. I'm sure we'll have more NFL stories as free agency approaches here. End of the college basketball season. More NBA topics as that season kind of winds down, and more golf. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of hot stove stuff related to the NFL. That's kind of fun stuff, too.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Good to be with you, Pat.
Awesome, bud. I love you tons.